and welcome to the Modern Skein podcast. My name is Sharon Graff, and I am the owner of the Modern Skein, which is a yarn shop here in Montgomery, Texas.
And I'm Becky, store manager at the Modern Skein.
And that was Surrey, the official store greeter.
Yep.
So hello, welcome. It's been 2 weeks since we podcast.
Yeah. We're back on a regular rhythm, guys.
I know, but I don't have any finished objects.
Neither do I. Not that I can share yet.
Yeah. I mean, I've gotten some knitting done, but I also haven't gotten a whole lot of knitting done. It's been blazing hot here. And then I'm walking in the evenings, so then that takes up some of my knitting time, and then I do knit, and then I end up falling asleep on the couch. So
Yep.
I don't get a ton knit. I'm looking forward to today, because today is actually Thursday. Normally we podcast on Wednesday, but changed it up a little bit this week, and Thursdays I get a decent chunk of time to knit in the shop because of knit night, which is nice. So hopefully I'll be making some progress. I did cast on, if you have watched our social media, Instagram, and Reels. You know, I cast on and did a majority of a yoke of a sweater and then ripped it out. But I'll be showing you my restart of that fun project. We also have some yarn to show you guys. Some new yarn to the shop. And some restocks of some notions. And a few notions that I'm not sure that we've actually shown on the podcast.
I think we talked about it vaguely, but I
don't feel like we really actually showed them. These, and I know we haven't shown the wrist rulers in a long time. We got all new colors of wrist rulers a while back. So we're going to show you guys. So I guess can you show that thing? No.
Yes.
All the way down at the end?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
That's a finished object, kind of.
Yeah,
So,
it's a half.
it's a halfie. So let's start with that.
Sweet. So, I feel like last time we podcasted, I did not have a lot of my needles. I had a couple test knits that I couldn't share, and that was about it. Well, things have changed. I am now doing a bunch of different test knits, which I'm pretty sure I signed up for this maybe right after our podcast.
I feel like
filmed.
that's about right.
So this is sock 1 of the Sakura socks. I'm test knitting these for Bloom.Create, Emma of Bloom.Create. They are a fun little bit of color work, which nice little cherry blossoms or Sakura blossoms, which is the inspiration. And then there's some little real simple kind of eyelet lace. I don't know if that's going to come through, but and then some nice just kind of ribbed detail across the foot and a cute little stripey stripe. This flew off my needles. It was a nice mindless, I think after working on a bunch of sweaters leading up to this one, I got to a small circumference and I was like, oh, I can finish a row in a couple minutes. This is great. I do have the second one cast on, and I'm through the color work chart. I'm about to start my second I'm in the middle of this second lace row, and then I'm almost to a point where I get to separate for the heel flap.
Nice.
Traditional heel flap and gusset, top down. I think the pattern will release mid-August. So, and I went stash diving, and so this is some Farmer's Daughter Fibers Sock Squad from last year.
Very nice.
Running with the Wolves is the colorway.
Oh, nice.
Yep.
Well, I haven't finished my Petite Picot yet, but I'm in the very, very home stretch.
Home stretch, but I feel like it's I don't know. If we're going with the baseball analogy here, like the home stretch, like that distance to home plate is a little bit bigger than the rest of the distances.
Okay, yeah. Well, it's more like the last 20 miles of your marathon.
Okay, that's a good, yeah.
So you can't really tell, but I had to pick up all the stitches on the edge, and I'm doing a garter band edge. And I believe I have to double check the pattern. I want to say it's like 8 rows of garter, and I've done like 2-3 rows of garter. No, well, I'll have to see. No, it's, I think 8 times. So I think it's 16 rows, and I think I've done 4. And they're just long because there's a lot of stitches. It's a very long shawl, FYI. So I'm really impressed with how long it is. But my main color here was, of course, Rocinante from Mad Tosh, and then Neon Peach. We still have both in stock if you want to duplicate this. It's been super duper fun. I will say with my row gauge, which is different than her row gauge, even though I went ahead and sized down, I did end up running out of my main color and was not able to fully complete the striping sequence. So I just finished it off all with Neon Peach, and I'm just kind of watching my ball to make sure. I don't think I'm going to have to lessen the amount of garter rows, but I'm just going to keep watch and make sure I have enough for the bind off. It is a Picot edge bind off, kind of hence the name of the pattern. So, sorry, I feel like I'm like this close to sneezing. So, just making sure I have enough, and if I don't, then I'll just cut that garter ridge a little bit short and bind off a tad early. But
I love that peach.
I know, the peach really makes this
yeah.
pop. It's going to be super fun. Yeah, that's that project.
I'll go with this one next because I'm pretty sure this is the one I showed last time, and I've made some
You
progress.
have made some progress.
It's a little bit too big for the needles at this point. I need to probably switch cables, but like I said, things have changed. I have cast on pretty much all of the things all at once, so I think it's going to actually be. I'm going to continue knitting on this cable because I don't think I have a bigger one in my stash at the moment. This is my Feel Good Shawl by Andrea Mowry. It is an all-over brioche shawl. There's the front side. There's the back side.
Very
Nice and reversible. I am over halfway in my repeats of the 2-color brioche section. I think I still might have like 9 more of these to go. 9 more of these repeats, which each one of those little like increases along that center spine, that's how I'm counting it. That's within the repeat. So I'll have, I think, 22 of those little guys before I start switching out for the next color. This has been a nice little one to have just sitting next to me on the couch, and I pick it up and I do like a couple rows here and there. Because it's not a test knit, so it's just for me. So there's kind of like a nice like, I can just relax and do it, which I relax with my other projects, but I don't know. It has been a feel-good project. So that is my other work in progress. This is Chelsea Luxe DK, 100% merino, which we have a whole bunch of.
Yes, we do.
Over that way.
That way. Sorry, I got to woman up.
You're good. I think we still have some sunken treasure left, and then this was the last skein of the eucalyptus colorway. But lots of good color possibilities. I'm enjoying this a lot. It is brioche, but it is like meditative in that it's, once you kind of see the pattern, you know how to continue following it somewhat mindlessly.
Okay. Hopefully. I still feel like I have to sneeze, so bear with me. Instead of finishing the Petite Picot, what do? I go cast on 2 sweaters.
Yes.
So this has actually been in my queue for a while. I cast on Glacial Lights by Boylan Knitworks, Caitlin Hunter. I'm so excited about this. It is a bottom-up sweater, lace with some stockinette up at the top. I need to pull the rest of my colors out. So I cast it on, where's the other color? And here we go. I'm using Sunday by Sandnes Garn. So Sunday is a fingering weight. Let's just show you this. This is one of my colors. This is a fingering weight. It's actually a non-superwash wool that you can put in the washing machine. So it's really, really cool that way. It feels like superwash. But it still has a few characteristics of non-superwash, which is really nice. 100% merino wool. And as far as putting it in the washing machine, if your washing machine has a dedicated wool cycle, you can follow those instructions. A lot of times, though, in the US, they don't have a wool cycle, but most people are able to put it on a cold wash delicate if your machine has that, preferably one without an agitator pull thing in the middle, which I don't think most of them have anymore, but if you have an older one, if it's got the pull thing in the middle, you're not going to want to do that.
Mine does.
Yeah.
Hand wash, here we go.
Yeah, exactly. That being said, by the way, if you hand wash your garments, but you're like, oh, it takes forever to dry. If you have a washing machine that has a spin-only button or knob or something like that, where you can just spin, not rinse and spin, not anything else, but just spin only. Mine does. I think my mom's does.
Mine does also.
Yeah, I think most washer machines, even cheap and old ones, have a spin only cycle. You can hand wash your garments, squeeze out as much of the water as possible, and then what I do is I just kind of carefully put mine in the bottom. I just don't dump it. I just kind of carefully lay it out and then hit spin only. For me, it's like a 10-12 minute cycle on mine, and it literally just centrifuge spins the water out. It cuts down your drying time well over half. If you have even like if your garment's small enough, or if it's like a tank top or a small shawl, use a salad spinner. It's the same idea.
You might have to like
do it a couple
empty
times.
it out of water a little bit, depending on how like saturated it is.
Yeah.
But
that's a great tip. I have done that before, especially with like hats, small cowls, small shawls, tank tops, things like that I have knit. That's a great way to do it. And then, of course, if you have a linen or cotton garment, 90% of the time you can throw it in the dryer as well, which is also really nice and convenient. Yep. And it usually helps soften up those plant-based fibers a lot. So there's your quick tip for you. Back to what I'm actually talking about. This is my beginnings of, this is the wrong side, there we go, of the Glacial Light. So I've just gotten started working on the charts now. This is a really fun pattern. I'm enjoying it a lot. So this blue is my main color. You start with the main color, you stripe up through your other colors. So this will be also what's at the top by my face. This is called It's Electric, I believe. I've lost my ball band. I'm pretty sure it's Electric Blue in the Sunday. Either that or ink blue.
No, ink blue is the more teal one.
That's right.
So, I think that's just electric blue.
I think, yeah, electric blue. I'm 99.9% positive. Then, this is going to be my striped secrets. All these, ta-da! So, it's going to be really fun and summery. And, I feel like half my colors with a fun little pop of this lemony yellow. So, this is called Burnt Sugar. This is like that classic camel teddy bear caramely kind of color. Then this is Sunny Lime. It is definitely a lime green leaning chartreuse. So pretty. It's bright, but it's also not neon at all. So it's very approachable. If you're looking to add in a bright summer color but not be neon, it's a great option. And then last color is light beige. So that will be my stripe sequence repeated twice. And then the nice thing about these little, I'll say little because these are 50 gram balls of Sandnes Garn, is for, I think, all the way through size 4, possibly even size 5, you only need 1 ball each of your contrast colors. And then, like for my size, I'm doing size 3. I just need 3 balls of my main color. Yeah. So it's really nice. You don't end up with tons of extra yarn that way. That's another reason I really love Sandnes Garn. I know some people are like, oh, 50 gram balls, I have to buy so much more. It is a lot less expensive. And you can really kind of dial in exactly how much you're using, and you don't have tons of leftover.
Yeah. I used the Sunday, for what it's worth, for socks.
Mm-hmm. It's a tight enough ply.
And it knit up wonderfully. Yeah. I like wearing those ones a lot. Very squishy.
It's super soft, and it's a tight enough ply that you can totally knit socks without the nylon. So especially, I know some of our customers really don't like any plastic products, including nylon, even in their socks. This is a great option that's still, like I said, a tight enough ply and a good stitch definition and everything else to do a decently hard-wearing sock out of these. So that is Glacial Light by Caitlin Hunter in my palette of Sunday. So I cast this on last Thursday at Knit Night. I did. And then I haven't worked on it since. That's my problem, is I will like cast something on and be like, I have to knit this, and crank it out for that time period, however much it is, and then the next day, I have to knit this. Cast it on, crank it out.
See, I think that's like partially why I do really well with test knits, is because that is my natural like state, is like, I have this yarn. It's sitting in my stash. It's burning a hole in the stash. I need to cast it on right now. Yeah. And then I end up with all these things cast on.
Yeah.
But with test knits, I'm like committing to a deadline.
Mm-hmm.
And so it helps.
Definitely. It does.
Speaking of test knits, I got 2 more.
Are we surprised?
No. So this one is...
This one's so gorgeous.
I'm in love. So I saw this...
she can show you.
I can. This is one I wasn't sure that I could show last time. But I've seen the designer share several photos since then on Instagram. So this is the Buffalo Rose Pullover by Karel Chan of KC Knitting Co. I came across her randomly in like a suggested post on Instagram, and it happened to be a test call for this sweater, and I was like, that's gorgeous. Let's go. And I'm loving it. I get it now. I get the gingham love. Yeah. I was not completely convinced of it until I started doing this pattern. I was like, okay, I get it. This is really satisfying. It is kind of a gingham background, increasing throughout the yoke, and then you start adding in these big, beautiful roses. I've only got maybe a third of the rose knit up there, so it's kind of hard to see at the moment, but it is 3 color work, but it's only like, I think the chart itself is like maybe like 50 rows, and by the time you do the color work, the 3 colors is only in the center piece of that, so it's a little bit hard to manage in a certain chunk, but the rest of it is not bad. And I am using a nice woolly wool for this one, which I think is helping with the color work. But it's
a really woolly wool, but it's very soft.
Yeah.
It's as soft as Scout, honestly. I feel like
Scout would be so good for this.
It would be a good option.
Yeah, this one, it was designed in ampersand fibers, so that's what I'm using. In these delightful.
But a really good swap would I would say Kelborn woolens.
Kelborn woolen Scout. You get some beautiful like texture in there. It's nice and like woolly. so you get some good definition. But God, you know it's a good rustic yarn when you pull out like just plant matter as you knit. But
and the Scout has the heathering just like these have, kind of that subtle heathering.
Yeah.
Which is real pretty.
It definitely, I didn't do this on purpose, but definitely gives me some like Wizard of Oz, Dorothy and her her blue and white dress with her ruby red slippers.
Yep.
That's what I keep thinking of as I knit this. So, yes. This pattern I don't think releases until maybe September. So I've got some time. She does, however, already have a pattern out. I think it's the Buffalo Rose tee.
Oh.
That is it's like the same motif, except instead of a yoke, it's a short sleeve, like, t-shirt, and it's around the midsection. So you don't have to worry about increasing in the color work chart, which I feel like that is a good challenge for me in this one. I'm enjoying the challenge, but sometimes it requires some attention.
Yes. So then my next cast on is one you've seen on social media. It is beautiful. This is the festival sweater, my size, obviously, the adult size, by Petite Knit. So I don't know that you can really see it in here, but if you're able to look this up on Ravelry, this is a really unique, it's not just a basic stripe. It's almost like a little tiny, she calls it a bauble. It is unlike any bauble you are going to knit because it is not true. It's not a true bauble.
No. I looked at it and I was like, is that a bauble?
It's like a faux bauble. I don't want to give it away because it's really, really unique in how you knit it, but it's super, super easy. So if you're like, I hate baubles, I don't want to knit this, I really feel like I'm going to sneeze. So sorry. No. I'm about to fall apart here. It's like it just won't come out. I need to sneeze. It's so weird. Anywho.
We'll get some black pepper. We'll be good.
I'll snort some black pepper.
I mean, don't do that.
There's that salt and pepper packet in the
There
back.
are. That's what I'm thinking of.
Oh, goodness. Okay. Back to knitting. So this is a really pretty and gorgeous pattern. The only reason I had to rip out and start over was simply because my gauge. Now, I have knit Petite knit patterns before. I've even knit her DK patterns before. And I usually am able to still get gauge just dropping down one needle size. However, for me, for whatever reason, my gauge was extremely loose. So hence I was really, honestly, I was knitting a size too big. So I was knitting the size large, which if I had been on gauge would have been just on the border too big for me. But because of my gauge and everything, it was going to be like hugely oversized, way oversized, too much. It'd be sloppy looking. So I ripped it out. I have gone down a needle size again. For me personally, needle size is so relative. So when I'm going to digress here slightly. When you are
going
knitting
on a bird walk, friends,
yes,
let's go.
Yes. When you are knitting a pattern, if you realize as you knit, especially as you knit garments, even if you knit shawls or whatever, you're going to realize, hey, my shawls always end up 3 times smaller than what everyone else's.
Yeah.
Or 3 times larger than everyone else's. Or I always need extra yarn. Or I always have so much yarn left over. You'll kind of figure out, okay, I'm knitting looser or I'm knitting tighter. For me, I knit loose. So I can pretty much always know that I need to size down my needle size. For instance, now I've got the hiccups. So for this pattern, it called for a 4 and a 6, right? Yes. US 4, US 6. 4 for the ribbing, 6 for the thing. I had dropped to a 3 and a 5. Even with a 3 and a 5, it was still, it's supposed to be a 21 stitch gauge, which in DK is beautiful. I love a 21 stitch gauge in DK. It's my favorite. But I was getting, with the 5, I'm getting anywhere from 19 to 20, kind of just depending on the rows. So for me, what I'm going to do, I like the fabric with the 5. I'm just going to focus on making sure I knit my stitches tight, and which for me means I actually have to slow down my knitting. The faster I knit, the looser I am. I would say 90% of the time, that's how most people are going to be. The faster they try to knit, the looser they're going to be. The slower they knit, the tighter they can be, because you can tighten up each stitch as you go. So for me, I actually dropped down to do the ribbing on a size 2, which this looks much, much better now. The yarn looks a little funky because it's been reknit, but that will be fixed with steaming. But look how much better this looks.
It's so much like, that's what I like. When we were looking at it the other day, before like looking at the actual stitch gauge, that was like my only thing. I said, it was like, looks like the collar's a little like loose.
And I mean, it
was almost like boat neck.
Yeah. And if you look at this pattern,
it's very much not.
Very, very much not. I mean, it's like a crew neck,
yeah,
you know, which is what you're wanting. And this will definitely be more of a crew neck. So I went down to a 2 for my ribbing, and then I'm going to switch out. I just didn't have my needles and I was really tired. So I'm going to switch out to a 5. Still going to do the 5 because I really like the fabric, and I have knit Double Sunday. This is, I don't think I said this, I'm knitting the original yarn, which is Double Sunday from Sandnes Garn, which is a DK weight. I have knit it on a 4 before, and I feel I don't like the fabric with a size 4 personally. So I dropped down my pattern size to a size medium, and then by reducing the size for my ribbing and anywhere else in the pattern that it calls for ribbing, at the bottom, on the sleeves, etc., I will stick with a size 2 to make sure it's nice and tight. And then for the body, I am going to stick with a size 5, and just like I said, slow it down just a smidge and really focus on making sure that the stitches get nice and tight and even. On the bobble row, I may drop down to a 4 just to see, because there are some yarn overs involved, and I might need to tighten them up a hair, but I haven't decided yet. Yes.
I'm wondering if that wasn't, because when we were measuring the gauge, like there was a couple, like there was one section above was tighter than the one below it. I wonder if there was something weird happening with the bobbly rows. I have no idea.
Don't know. So the colors I am using, this is called Whipped Cream. This is a gorgeous, basically off-white cream color.
Whipped cream is the perfect name for that colorway.
Yes, it really is. I believe we're actually a little bit low in whipped cream right now, but we are getting a very small, like 3 colors restocked right now in Double Sunday. I'm waiting for it to come in. It's supposed to be coming in August, and we'll be getting more Double Sunday as well, because y'all, Double Sunday is just amazing, and frankly, at an $11 price point, yeah, I can't beat it.
That's a good.
Because it's like 120 something yards per ball. So yeah, it's pretty good. So that's like $240 if you double it for a 100-gram skein for $22. That's not bad.
That's not bad.
So whipped cream is my main color, and this is not black, even though it looks like it. This is called Sailor in the Dark, and in just the right lighting you can tell that it's a very, very, very dark navy blue. Mm-hmm. These are actually the original colors that she designed this sweater in. I just love these colors anyway, so it's perfect. But we do have, right there, we've got some Double Sunday in stock in sweater quantities. If you wanted to do this, you could also easily use Kelborn Woolen Scout. You could also use Arbor. Arbor would be amazing in this, just saying.
Yeah, and I think the kids version of the festival sweater is striped with different colors too.
Yes,
so that's another option if you want to like do a couple different colors, or if
You
you
can
want
like rainbow fade it if you wanted. You could do 2 or 3 colors. You know what would actually be really cool? If you wanted to get double Sunday for your main body, and then especially like I'll say a darker color, and then get a fun, bright hand-dyed yarn to do your bobble rose. Because then you have some like movement and texture, speckles and everything else, and it would be very, very subtle. Because sometimes, you know, we all fall in love with a hand-dyed skein of yarn, but it's like, I want to make something and I want to make a garment, but I won't wear a sweater out of neon peach from Mad Tosh. Just saying, some people will. I'm not going to be that person. But you might wear it if you did like this and popped fun stripes in the neon peach, or alternating, or doing like the green that we have there and then putting a really fun yellow or something like that with it. Just kind of ways you could splurge a little bit on some hand-dyed yarn without doing a full all over hand-dyed yarn sweater. Because if you're anything like me and you do dress, I'll say more, I don't dress in a lot of wild colors. I wear mostly neutrals, denim, navy blue, black, that sort of thing. So I'll say I dress conservative colors, if you will. But I like to have a few pops here and there in either accessories or a little bit of stripes. But for me to wear like an all over colorwork hand-dyed sweater in a bunch of fun colors, I would knit it. I wouldn't wear it. So that's just a life hack for you on using and potentially wearing some of those fun hand-dyed skeins. Use them as accents. Yep. So this is the festival sweater by Petite Knit. I have other stuff in my bag. It hasn't been touched in months, so we're not going to talk about it. Next, actually, let's talk about some of these Notion things.
I've got one more whip.
Oh, you do? Yes. Yep. I forgot.
Sorry, plot
Continue.
twist.
Plot twist.
I'm sitting here knitting on this one because it is just a 2-row repeat at the moment. But, again, test knitting.
Ta-da!
I am test knitting the Briar and Bramble Sweater for Caitlin Hunter. This one just started last week, and then I binge knit a whole bunch of this, finishing off Stranger Things this past weekend.
Stranger Things.
It's so good. I keep knitting on this, and I keep thinking about Stranger Things. So, might need to rewatch already. But it's just a real simple raglan pattern. There is texture all over, but it's a very easy and very approachable texture. Every other row is just plain knitting with some increases. So, and then she has in there some embroidery, which I've never embroidered a knit before. And I happen to have this nice golden color in my stash, and I am thinking that I'm going to go for a little bit of a daisy inspiration. As Sharon runs to get the embroidery supplies. I think I'm going to use some white yarn and do a bunch of daisies embroidered on here. I have this image in my mind of what I would like it to look like, so I'm going to have to practice around a little bit, maybe on some old swatches, because I keep those in a bin and then don't do anything with them.
Why not?
But yeah, very excited for this one, guys.
Yes. Speaking of embroidery on your knitwear, we do have a book if you want to kind of get some inspiration rather than just diving right in and doing some stuff. But this has a lot of really good techniques on how to embroider on knitwear without puckering and all that kind of stuff. Even on your denim, things like that. And so this is the book. It's $25. We also have little embroidery kits. So these kits, these don't come with yarn. They come with actual embroidery floss stuff in here. But they also come with your hoop, your needles, and then some of the paper that you can draw and like transfer on as well. Yep. So if you are interested in like the visible mending with embroidery, things like that, I would highly recommend grabbing a kit and the book. They're not like sold as a kit together, but you can see embroidery kit, embroidery book. Especially if that's something that you want to maybe add to your queue as you go down, because you can embroider, like I said, with embroidery floss, like traditional, or you can embroider with fine, like fingering weight.
Yeah.
You can do it with DK, you just need the appropriate needle size and everything. So, okay, moving on. I'll let you talk about those.
Okay.
We have,
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. We have Likey restocks coming in slowly but surely. This is it's a fairly new product of theirs. The plastic is being weird, but it's a needle gauge and swatch gauge. And it's really nice, very thick.
Yeah.
Made out of mango wood. So what's nice is a lot of these tend to be on the thin side and flimsy. I've seen people break theirs and things like this. This is going to last. And it goes all the way through US 00 through 17, and it has millimeter sizing. So if you're a crocheter, you can also just translate into millimeter sizes, which is really nice.
And I like the heft of that, like, depending on what, like, gauge you're knitting at and what fiber you're knitting with, like, sometimes it drives me a little crazy when my, like, fabric is puckering and I'm trying to measure. There's enough heft to that you're not going to be struggling to keep your, like, tape measure, like, unfurled and flat so that it's actually measuring appropriately.
It's 4 inches on this side, 10 centimeters on the other side. So you have both, whatever your preference is.
And it does fit if you are if you have a set of 5-inch Leica needles. There is a pocket on the inside of those pouches that these come in, and it fits in there.
Yes.
Which, speaking of Leica, or I think it's Luca?
I've heard it Luca, Leica, Licky.
Yep.
If you're in Texas, somebody calls them those licky needles.
We don't recommend lickying these, but I love knitting with them. We've got a whole... That was so cheesy. I apologize, but it was great. I enjoyed it thoroughly. We restocked a bunch of the blush tips, specifically the 5-inch ones, which we were out of a lot of sizes, especially the smaller ones. They are back. Yep. There's some of those also in the indigo and driftwood, too. And I think there's we got a couple of sizes of the Cipras back on, like, the 3.5-inch.
Yeah.
Size.
So 5-inch are still back ordered.
Yep. And then got lots of cords. Real quick. These are the original cords are these guys, the black cords. That's what most of the sets came with. And it seems like they're switching over to mostly doing spin cables now, which is nice.
The black are still going to be the fixed, or I'll say the original cables, but pretty much all of the colored cables that they're coming out with are spin at the end.
There's a weird piece of plastic in there. I'm going to open this up here in a second. Just like, I don't think it's connected to anything, but I want to make sure it's not on the cable before somebody buys it. And but there's the black cables that do not spin. And then the kind of with the introduction of the blush needles, they introduced their spin cables. The original blush ones that we got in with this blush color, kind of peachy. But of late, the blush needle cables have started looking like this. They're like hot pink. So just please note that if you order these online, you might get either, depending on what size and what they've sent us.
Yeah. It's kind of 50-50 what we get.
Yeah.
We can't ask for a specific type. I think it's just like they're manufacturing.
Yeah. They work
equally.
They work equally. That's the nice thing with Leica. All of their cables fit all of their needles.
Yeah.
They don't have different sizes for needles.
You can use the blush on the Cipras. You can use the clear on the indigo, whatever floats your boat.
Yep. And then there's also the clear ones. Like Sharon was saying, these are the other option we have in stock right now. We don't have a lot of these in stock. But
I think 60 and that size might be the only one.
Yeah. And I think we explain it on the listings for these on the website, but just so you know, for Like Needles, they say it is 60 inches with 5-inch interchangeable needle included. So they're 60 inch. This cable is actually probably only about 50 inches on its own, but they are intending for you to put it with the 5-inch tips, which will bring it to 60 inches from tip to tip.
It will fit the three and a half needles, but you will not get 60 inches out of it. Obviously, it'll be short. What, 5 inches, 4 inches? Math. It's too early. So it's different than how Chow Goose sells their cables, because Chow Goose sells their cables as when it says 30 inches, that's how long the actual physical cable is. And then if you have to add on, are you putting 3-inch tips on there? 4-inch tips, 5-inch tips, etc. So some other notions we have some fun washable tags from Katrinkles that say this is the back. This is very helpful, especially if you're gifting garments or just struggle with, I forgot which side is the front and back. So these are very handy. You get a pack of 4. They are, like I said, washable. I think they're vegan.
I think these are all faux suede.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure these are all faux suede. Yeah. So super fun. Pack of 4 for $8. Then these fun little hand wash tags, especially as we're starting to get into Christmas gift knitting. If you're gonna make a shawl or hat or something for a person, this is a great little thing because it just says hand wash, dry flat. Just to remind them, and we have different things. So this is called the, I think the pastel package. You get that blush pink, a very pale turquoise, and then like a taupe. And then they have the neutral packet, which is basically different types of browns, and a gray. The gray's at the bottom.
We've got a bunch of stitch marker sets. A lot of these are like an acrylic plastic. There are different rings or connections, I guess. These ones are a fixed ring option. So crocheters, this won't work as well as these guys, which have the removable kind of light bulb pin style markers on them, but it's the same print. I think it's actually a cute,
It's like knit stitches.
I think it's a little brioche like fabric.
It does look like brioche or ribbing or something
or
like
ribbon,
that.
yeah. I don't think that's going to come through on the camera, but they're cute.
Super cute. I have a package of those at home I like. This has also been super popular. These are what she calls the write-on markers. So again, these are locking, so both knitters and crocheters can use these. But it's like a teeny tiny little dry erase board. And we sell the little baby Sharpies. And you want to use a Sharpie to mark on these, because if you just use a regular dry erase marker, it's going to, as you touch it, it's going to come off. So you use this, and then you either use like a tiny bit of hand sanitizer or a little spray alcohol to wipe it off. Everybody has hand sanitizer now, so it's just real easy. Put a tiny dab on it and wipe it off, and then you can write. So you can write beginning of round, or especially we've had customers that are doing like multiple color projects, and so they just attach this actually to their yarn ball and write color A, color B, color C, color D, whatever it is, especially if they're doing multiple, like a West Fjords Wanderer or something like that.
We had a couple of customers that started doing that for their West Fjords because they had just very smooth transitions and it was hard to know, especially once they were in the cake, which was which.
Another fun way to use these is if you're doing a pattern like maybe brioche or whatever, and you want to write specific like brioche instructions on here, or if you want to write, maybe you have a special slip yarn over, knit together through the back, blah blah blah, you can write those little notes on there. Or if you're doing heel toe knitting or something like that, you can do whatever, you can write anything you want on these. You can put a smiley face, whatever. Sky's the limit.
Speaking of labeling knitting, these guys are increase decrease markers. On each of them is printed a different increase or decrease technique. So the little purple one says yarn over or YO, knit 2 together, so on and so forth. Slip, slip, knit, make one right, make one left, so that you could mark in your knitting when those are happening.
I especially like those for kind of, I'll say, newer knitters that are maybe doing like a couple shawls with maybe different, maybe a slip knit. They haven't done it before, just as a little reminder. Another fun, kind of in that same vein, these are the counting markers. I don't know if you can tell, but they are labeled with 25, 50, 75, 100, 100, 100. And those are great for when you have to cast on 375 stitches or something like that. You can throw these on, put the 25 or the 50 or the 100 in your spots and keep track as you go, so you don't have to recount it 15 times like I usually have to. So these are really fun and helpful. Or if it's especially like a project where sometimes it's, every 50 stitches you got to do something, well, you can easily mark that. And last but not least, we love cats, so we have little kitty cat stitch markers.
Yes.
Just the little kitties. So speaking of cats, we also have a cat needle gauge. I don't know if you can tell. It's like clear holographic acrylic, and it has this nice little bead chain, so you can loop this on your knitting bag, things like that. So super fun.
If you are enjoying the sock knitting these days for a nice small on the go project, what is ridiculous levels of hot, at least down here. This is a little sock knitting tool. There's a bunch of different features on this guy. So there is a 1-inch ruler here as well as a 2-inch ruler here so that you can measure your cuff. It is marked there so you're not tied to doing just a 1-inch or a 2-inch. Kitchener instructions are on the back. And then there's a little yarn cutter in the toe. So you just boop.
Ta-da! Ta-da! Which is very handy.
Yep. That way you're not trying to awkwardly yank and rip open or rip your yarn. And then
Especially yarn with nylon doesn't.
It's hard.
Very well.
Usually hurts your hands.
Yeah. And then last but not least, we have restocked the amazing colors of wrist rulers. We have, in most of them, we have 16 and 18-inch lengths. The custom navy blue ones, which actually have our name on the inside as well, because these were custom made for us. We have those in 15, 16,
I think 18 and 14 also.
Yes, I think so, because I think they didn't do the 17 in that. But, a couple of them I know the gray we have in 14 as well, because I know we have a few people that like to get these for their teenage kids and stuff like that, or you just have really tiny wrists. You also don't have to put these on your wrists. Yeah. I keep one on my knitting bag almost all the time, except for today, to show you. But I love to put them around the handle of my knitting bag. I know a lot of other people do as well. Of course, they are a functional ruler, but real quick, this is just called blue, so it's a nice bright blue. This is natural. White, which we've actually never had the white. We did a white silicone, but this is a white leather, which is real nice. Then we have gray, teal, which is beautiful. Yeah. This is the custom navy. So it is dark, but you can still read it. And then this is the red. And the red almost looks two-tone. It's almost like faded. Like it starts, not faded like in a bad way, but it starts brighter and then it fades almost to a burgundy. It's really pretty.
Yeah. And you've got the hot pink next to you too.
Yes. And we have hot pink for our pink friends. Yeah. I did not bother to get black because nobody's going to see black. You can't read black. It's too hard. So we've got those. Oh, and real quick, I think we still have time. Yep, we can do it fast. Okay, let's go. The Chelsea Luxe. Okay. We're going to do this. You can see a slower paced walkthrough on Instagram.
Yep.
If you go back and watch our IGTV.
I'm going to jump right in, friends.
Do it.
This is Blue Lagoon. Should mention, this is all the single ply Chelsea Luxe base that we launched in store for this one's birthday. Woo! Nice deep teal.
This is Gold Rush. This has a slight tinge of green undertone. It is different than Favorite Leather. Oh, that's not it. That's Sunflower. Sorry. Favorite Leather Boot.
All the nice warm rust tones.
Yes. Favorite Leather Boot, Gold Rush, and Sunflower.
Yep. We've got Faux Fur. It's a nice kind of minty green.
Leopard. Classic. Love it.
This is Pistachio Promise as I throw it across the table.
Lone Wolf. A nice neutral taupe with some fun burgundy speckles.
Scottish Rose. I think this is a really unique color. Mm-hmm. Nice mint greens in there and some nice deep roses.
Be Happy. Fun neutral with yellow and blue pops.
Sunday Times.
Classic.
Mostly black and white. Teeny little specks of red out there.
Makes it super fun. Lavender Latte. Another classic colorway. Love that.
Chelsea's Coupe.
So good.
Shout out to the chickens.
This is Sunken Treasure. Beautiful, beautiful nude kind of color.
Yep, that's the color I'm using as my main for that shawl.
Yes.
This is Gumdrop.
Fun.
Real fun neon on a cream white base.
New color, Vanilla Fig. Beautiful browns with green and purple on a white base.
A good old classic favorite one here in the shop is Stilettos and Jeans.
My favorite. Then we have Red Carpet, that beautiful, beautiful cherry red.
New Year. Very, very soft pink with gold and black.
Then this is Driftwood, beautiful neutral.
Rose Gold.
Winterberry.
Tin Star.
And last but not least, Pink Peony. Another classic. So, that is a wrap for our podcast. Oh, we have a special guest joining us for the last minute of podcast. Hello, sorry. No, not having it. Anyway, thanks so much for tuning in. By the way, don't forget, coming up, we have Texas Yarn Trail next month. It's super exciting. They are sold out of all the custom bags, but you can still grab your trail guide ticket. Highly encourage you to do that and make a weekend out of it and visit all of our local Texas shops in the greater Houston area. DFW Fiber Fest is happening in September. We will be exhibiting there, so definitely come by and say hi if you're coming to DFW. We also, with Texas Yarn Trail, will start back up our monthly trunk shows. We have 2 trunk shows we are featuring for Texas Yarn Trail, and I am working on getting a whole bunch of other trunk shows on the lineup for the rest of the fall-winter season, so definitely stay tuned for that. And all the things are coming into the shop, so if you want to stay up with the latest, definitely join our newsletter list. You can do so on the website. And definitely follow us on social media. We're most active on Instagram, but we do post on Facebook as well.
Yep.
And happy knitting and crocheting and crafting. Oh, and we have another beginner weaving class coming up July 30th. So there are a few spots left. If you're interested, give us a call, email, shout out, anything else. We'll see you soon. Bye, guys.
Toodles.